Well, hello. Just my camera. All right, you guys. Welcome to a brand new episode of Hot Topics. This is the podcast where we like to talk that real talk. We like to talk about that real talk when it comes to things in social services, when it comes to education, employment, health, physical health, or anything else that is steamy. Today, I am excited about this episode because I am going to ask the question that has been on my mind maybe for the past like 3 years. um, and that question is the topic of my episode today. So, that topic is, what is a coach? I don't know, maybe in the past 3 years, I look on my Facebook feed and everybody is a coach. um, and there's a relationship coach, there's a grief coach, there's a career coach, there's a life coach. There is so many coaches out there, and I want to know, what is this phenomenon and why does everyone want to be a coach all of a sudden? And I'm curious about this field. I'm curious about this career choice, um, particularly because I majored in clinical mental health counseling, and then I've just learned recently about coaching. So now I'm like, what is this coaching all about? So today I am going to have that question answered today. And I have a guest with me who is going to help me with this discussion. Her name is Dr. Lamarr Renee Spencer. And let me tell you, you guys, let me tell you who she is. She helps people. She helps people who are in shattered relationships, and she helps them achieve a work life balance. That is awesome. All right, so I am going to go ahead and bring her to the stage right now. Hi, Dr. Spencer. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Good, good, good. So thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for coming on Hot Topics.
Thank you.
And I want to hear from you. I want to get feedback about what is a coach and why is it so popular. Why does it seem like everybody want to be a coach? So I wanted to get to, what am I trying to say, to get your feedback on it, for you to enlighten us. So I'm gonna go ahead and just pass it on to you. So please tell us, what is a coach? Tell us about it.
Sure. Well, a coach, for one, does not give you advice. We are like a catalyst to help you reach certain goals. And so the difference, people always ask, what is the difference between a therapist and a coach? Why don't I just go to a therapist? And the difference is a therapist helps you heal. I help you reach your goals. And the reason why that's important is because by the time you come to me, you already know what you would like to do, you know what goals you're trying to achieve. I just help you along, I guide you. And so I always like to articulate it by comparing a life coach, business coach, relationship coach. There's so many out there, like a football player or an athlete. So they know the plays, they know exactly what they need to do to win. However, they have the coach there to give them the plays, like the play by play. So we know Shaq, Kobe, Michael, all of them can play basketball, they can get it in the hoop. But when it comes to the defense and the strategy, that's where the coaches come in. So I know, especially now in the last couple of years, everyone wants to be a coach. Everyone's like, hey, I want to be a coach. I want to go get trained to be a coach. That, let me just tell you, was not my goal. I never looked at myself as being a coach. I did not want to be a coach. However, I've been a coach unofficially for over 20 years. People always come to me for advice. I mean, it could be anything. It could be strategy, all those things. And so within the last few years, I said, you know what? Let me have a primary focus. So and I'm not knocking anyone else, of course not, but I actually did the research. I did the studying for it, and I had a coach. I had a therapist, and I had a life coach. I had a business coach. I had a relationship coach. Because to me, in order to be a good coach or be anything, you need to do the footwork. You need to definitely be there. And it was unlike anything that I had done. I did say that I'd been doing it for 20 years, but to actually put in certain practices was different for me. And the reason why I say that is because with my clients, I set up a program, and they're all individually tailored. So, for instance, I have one program, it's 6 months, but it's tailored for the client. And the reason why it's 6 months is because it takes a few months to start seeing results. If you've been doing the same thing or similar for the last few years, you're hardly going to see results in a month or two. That's kind of like that person setting you up to fail. For me, I help you reach your goals, and you're going to reach your goals because every week we're going to meet, or twice a week, or 3 times a week, and I hold you accountable. So that's the difference. I'm taking you from where you are, and we're going to move forward. So the reason why my focus is shattered relationships, because no matter who you come in contact with, that's a relationship. It's not just intimate relationships, but even your colleagues are relationships. You have a relationship with your colleagues, with your neighbors, with your friends, with your bosses, with your neighbors, your clergy. All these people you're in relationships with. And even most importantly, yourself. So that's why I want to focus on that, because throughout life, you're going to get into a shattered, what I call fractured relationship. You know what you need to do. You just need help guiding through that relationship. And so, if you ever heard the saying, I already know what I need to do or want to do, I just need um, validation. Well, that's essentially what a coach is. And so, for me, the reason why my program is different, because I hold you accountable. And it may be like a quick phone call, like, hey, we were tasked to do whatever. Did you do it? Or don't forget, next week, we're going to work on this. So we need to start preparing today. So I do that. But again, like I said, I had the training. So by trade, I have been in finance for 20 years. I have been in contracts. I have been in counseling. Like, I've done all of that. And so, again, I've done the empirical research as well. I know sometimes, especially as I go back and hear all these people saying they're a coach, but just be mindful when people say that, because, this is a very, I call fluid industry. So anyone could say that they're a coach, but that doesn't mean that they're good necessarily for you, or even help you to meet your needs and attain a goal. So it's different. And I always tell people, make sure. That's why I always, before I even take on a client, we have what I call like a discovery call. And during that call, I give them a little bit more background about myself. I ask them open ended questions about, like, for instance, what is the goal that you're trying to meet long term, short term, in the immediate future? Now, at that time, the person may only have one goal. Okay, they may have two or three goals, and that's fine. We know sometimes things change over a period of time. But again, we work on that goal. And again, I hold you accountable. So even after or in between, I always make sure that I set up time, that to the point where if you have any questions, comments, concerns, I'm always available. So that's the difference between, like I said, a coach and also a therapist, and why sometimes a coach may be I'm not going to say a better for you to have, but it's definitely something to think about. Now, I know sometimes people say, well, how come you didn't give me advice? Why you didn't do this and why you do that? Because that's not the job of a coach. Again, I am a catalyst to move you along. I help you to be accountable. And that's what it is. And I have to say, like I said, I've been to coaching and it did wonders for me. So the very thing that I needed help on, I help people. And that is relationships and also work-life balance. So yeah, could I get many things done at a time or throughout the day? Absolutely. But was I effective in all those areas? Absolutely not. I had to really set up time management, and that's what my coach did for me. He helped me to set up um, better time management for myself, better goals, and I do the same thing with my clients as well. So yes, you have all different types of coaches. You got healing coaches, you got nutritional coaches, you got health coaches, relationship. I mean, there's a ton of them, right? So, I mean, whatever is one you feel that you're aligned with, I would definitely say, try that person out. But for me, again, I focus on life, relationship, and also business because I have a business background. So I focus on that. It only makes sense to do that. Just like with, um, even like I said, relationship or health, relationship or life, kind of the same thing. No matter who you run in contact, we're going to have a relationship with, and it's a part of your life. So that's what a coach is in general. But because it's unregulated, we are um, we're not licensed. We're certified, and that's another thing. So it's unregulated, and most of the time we don't take insurance. So that's another question I always get because we're not licensed. Now, I did say you can do the training, great, or you don't have to do the training. But I say that if you're going to do something, make sure you get the training, make sure you have gone into coaching yourself in therapy. So you have like a benchmark, you have something to compare it to. So that's why I would definitely suggest it. Now, all of my clients, I have to say, have been successful. Although I do say it's an hour a week, but it could be a little bit more, it could be a little less. I don't rush it. Again, it's definitely a process. So that's what it is.
All right, thank you so much for that. So there's a lot to unpack there. So basically, let's start with the difference between coaching and therapy. So coaching is from what you're saying, coaching is more goal oriented. In therapy is more, it's more like, breaking down barriers and trying to get to the core of the issue. And therapy tends to be long term. That's um my personal experience. With coaching, it tends to be like, is it safe to say that coaching tends to be short term? It tends to be quicker.
Well, it depends. Like, so for coaching, coaching takes you from the present and works to the future, whereas therapy takes you in from your present and works backwards. So
Hmm.
that's the thing. You can be in therapy for years. I mean, I've known people be in therapy 20, 30 years. Coaching is not that long. You have a goal or goals and you obtain those goals. So again, like I have a program 6 months. Now I've had clients we've gone more than 6 months. And the reason why is because we have added more goals or changed the goals along the way. Life
Yeah,
happens. So um, that's why we have changed. And I mean, I hate to say, I mean, I'm not going to brag. I'm saying you hate to say it, but people like talking about it. They like that feeling of someone holding them accountable.
yeah,
Right? It's just like your teacher when you're in school, right? So you need to do your homework, but your teacher gonna say, "Hey, did you do your homework? Don't forget, it's due next Thursday." It's kind of the same thing.
so it's pretty much like someone that's on top of you to help you achieve something that you're trying to get. um at least, I mean there is solution focused therapy. There's a type of therapy where it's more goal oriented, but therapy is more like trying to work backwards. And it seems to me that coaching is more, this is what you want to do, okay, I'll help you get there.
Yeah.
There's no exploration of how did you get to where you are in the first place. It's more, this is what you want to do, okay, I'll help you get there. Is that safe to say?
Yes, but to be honest, I have just when I think I have it like niched, I have different type of clients. Like for instance, I can have the housewife who husband is sleeping with their relative. I could have someone who um, is in a polygamous relationship and trying to figure out how to guide that. I can have someone who says, you know what, I really don't like my neighbor, but we live close together, so we need to get along. So it could be so many different things, but all those people have relationships in common. So it could be
Mm-hmm.
different things. I can get a clergy who says, you know what, I'm burned out because they're unbalanced, especially during the pandemic. Churches, people weren't going to churches. So your clergy probably got burned out. They probably were working, and then at the same time, they had people contacting them and, wanting them to pray and like different things. So that was another. And then they had to learn technology. So that was something else. So for me, I like to think of myself as not like a one stop shop because it could be like someone say, hey, you know what? Um, I've had clients who own businesses and they say, I need help with my finances. I've done that because I have a financial background. I've had people say, you know what, we're trying to work through these contracts. I've helped with that as well. I want a better relationship with my children. I've had that as well. I've had women say, hey, my husband or boyfriend is in prison. They're coming home. How can I prepare for that? I've had that as well. So it just kind of depends. Every situation is different. That's why I don't have like a cookie cutter type of program. I mean, there is a link to it, but I don't because every situation is completely different.
So you work with a variety of different people and a variety of different situations, right?
Mhm.
So it's so and it depends on the goal of your client,
Mhm.
right? So you're not there to fix them. So for someone who may come to you and say like I'm in a polygamous relationship, you may ask, okay, so what's the goal? What are you trying to do? Because in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, you're trying to get out, and so I have that, I guess, traditional way of thinking of, oh, so you're trying to get out of it and you're trying to go into a monogamous relationship, like, but no, like it's whatever they come to you with. Are they trying to find a way to balance it? Are they having a problem with one partner and the other partner is jealous? So it's whatever they bring to you. It's not really what you're thinking, it's whatever they bring to you.
It's whatever they bring. I'm not biased at all, right? So it could be a polygamous relationship, but maybe their family is heavily ingrained in the church.
Mhm.
And maybe that relationship is embarrassing the family. It could be that, you know what, my husband or wife have brought in another spouse. We're trying to figure out how we can get along under one roof. And with that, okay, now we have to figure out how we can budget, how we can work together as a unit. I mean, there's so many different things. Everyone doesn't want to come out of a polygamous relationship. Sometimes they may even want to think about getting into one and they just don't know the steps or repercussions in it. I mean, it could be so many different things. And then you have polygamous relationships, you have swingers. I mean, there's so many different type of relationships out there. It really is. I mean, I've had people in church who really they are pastor, but in the first lady, but they're swingers. I've had people where you're the librarian, you're the husband's the cop, but you're swingers. So it just kind of depends on the type of relationship and the goal. And with that, I mean, really, um, again, I don't, I'm not biased. again, you have to come to me and say, look, this is what we're trying to achieve. And then we go from there.
Yeah. So just about you. So is it, so it's not just relationships that you deal with, right? It's other things.
Yeah, I work with work life. I have work life balance clients. I have workplace bullying clients. I have that because that's what my dissertation was on. So I look at to determine if you have policies, if your company have policies and procedures around that, and to determine if you're being bullied or harassed, or you just have a tough boss. So that could be another type of client. So it's really like I had to niche down because I was getting so many different types of scenarios that it was really hard for me to distinguish between therapy and coaching because I just really wanted to help everyone. But sometimes when people have mental illness, not sometimes, but usually when they have mental illness, they need to go to therapy, not necessarily coaching.
All right. So that's a very important that's a very important factor there, is
Mhm.
that, what the way to distinguish between therapy and coaching is, coaching is, you you can't really have a mental illness, right? So for,
Mhm.
for therapy, if you have a mental illness, if you have anxiety, depression, even like schizophrenia, anything like that, then those are the people that you refer to therapy.
Yes, I definitely will because I've had situations where they want me to bring them on. And I said no because I did not feel that I could help them. They needed a licensed, trained professional in that area. It was not me. But again, I've had people that happen. I mean, I've had so many different types of scenarios that even to even sit here to say the different scenarios, just when you think you've been in a type of relationship, you find out there's a total other different type of relationship. I mean, especially now with social media, you may
Yeah.
have the husband, you guys have like, the two kids, the dog, the wife, the jobs. Next thing you know, your husband is someone or your wife is someone totally different on social media. You know, they're they've taken on an alter ego on social media and they're in like YouTube or Instagram or Twitter. So
Mm.
that's something else. Or they have a whole other family somewhere else. So it just kind of depends. And so with the coaching month, I realized that for me, I was like internalizing a lot of things. Like, how can that happen? But then I learned to say, you know what, you can't question everything. You just have to let it kind of happen and come to you. But I'm in so many different types of groups. Like even on Facebook, I'm on 542 groups. Now, am I in there all the time? No, there's specific ones. But when
Hmm.
I tell you, there is a group for the group for the group. And
Yes, there is.
yeah, there's people honestly who follow, like somebody can have an obsession with you, but they want coaching. I mean, and they're on like social media. When I say obsession, they don't even know you. They
Hmm.
just follow you, like on your socials. So it's
Hmm.
so many different types of, like I said, relationships. Sometimes it could be just in your mind that you're in a relationship. You don't even know that person. You just know what you see on the screen. So it could be any type. I mean, I've had people where uh, shoot. I had a female whose daughter was going for the FBI, but her husband was in a gang. Like, so again, there's so many different types of scenarios and so many different types of relationships. There really are.
Mm. So you've had some difficult people come to you, um, and what you were alluding to before about, someone may come to you and say they have they're having relationship issues, but that relationship can just be, a random stranger that's on the screen, and that can, that talks about the downfall of social media, and that people think they have relationships with all these different strangers, but it's really just on the computer.
Yeah.
Um,
And it's more common than we like to think.
mhm,
Believe me, it is more common than we like to think. Um, you know, like again, Someone may say, "Oh, I'm not cheating because I've never seen that person," but you're lusting after that person. You're sending them different gifts. Like, you can go on Facebook and send gifts. You could send money. You can
Mm-hmm.
send anything to people. And you're like, well, how do you get the information? Well, your IP address. These are not like people who are fly by nights. These are people that are in certain type of careers. So you can have someone that's lusting after you, and he's in IT. He is just the principal of the school. I mean, there's so many different types of scenarios. I mean, they take on alter egos. You may not even like know who they are. They may cover their face, and they may give themselves a screen name. I mean, like I said, social media is a blessing, but it can also be a curse as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let's get into the qualifications more. So to be a coach, you said that you can be certified. So can you talk more about that, like the training, the certification? How does that work?
I mean, you don't even need to be certified. You could just say, "Hey, I'm a life coach, get a couple clients, and that's it." You could do that. You can go get certified. I mean, they have certifications on Groupon. You can do that. You can go to a school like Rutgers and a couple other colleges have actually have programs for life coaches. You can go what they call ICF coaching, which is the International Coaching Federation. So you can go get there, and that's like considered like more prestigious, more like legit type of coaching. I mean, there's so many different types of programs, but what I will say is if you're considering coaching, make sure that you find a coach that is just not one of those fly by night people, one that just want to coach and so they can, pay a couple of bills, that they're really into it. Like for example, for me, I have a website, right? So I can take appointments to my website. I have a Facebook group. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. I'm on everything. I do podcasts and everything that even comes to my podcast or even my group is all empirically researched. So I just don't say, well, this is just my opinion. No, I'm going to do the research, like the actual research, not Wikipedia, and say, this is what it is. So I think it depends on, like I said, your background. When you think about it, right? You got family and friends who could say they're coaches. I mean, how many people have you gone to and you say, hey, you know what? Carolyn, what do you think about this? And she gives advice, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can go to whomever. But for me, like I said, I wanted to make sure that I was legit and that I researched and that I could actually help people. I didn't want to just, like I said, like pimp people out of their money. Like, no, if you are in a program of mine, believe me, I put the program together. I know it works. And again, I've done the research on the program, right? So
Yeah.
honestly, I didn't want to go get licensed, be a licensed therapist. I've been in school since '94. Like there's nothing else for me to get at this point. So I was like, no, I won't go get licensed. I'll just go get certified. So, that's the difference. But yes, um, I don't, I'm in coaching groups. I know different coaches, and usually they don't have like all of the background. So find one that
Yeah.
does for you. Like I said, I've had the finance, the accounting, the marketing, the contracts, like done all of that. So, that's, you know, is different. Like even for Workplace Bullying, I interviewed 2,000 people. That's what my research is on. I've done 10 years of research for that. So
Yeah.
that's why I say make sure that you don't just get someone who can give you advice because guess what? You gotta be careful who you get advice from because maybe they need advice. They need help,
Yeah.
you know? So that's why I said just be careful.
Right. With when it for anybody really, you want to make sure that you do your research if you're looking for a coach. So now is it safe to say that make sure you get a coach that is certified, or it really doesn't matter? So should it be one of those deciding factors for someone to get a coach who is certified as opposed to not certified?
I would say certified, but you don't have to. Like for me, I'm glad I did get certified, and the reason why is because it's almost like a curriculum, right? It's almost like a teacher putting a curriculum together. You want someone who can put a curriculum together, because if the person says, "Okay, what do I get?" and I'm paying $1,000, you need to let them know what they're getting. You can't just say, "Hey, we're going to talk once a week." No, it's just not just talking once a week, right? For me, the first time we meet, we talk for 90 minutes because I want to know what your issues, your concerns, what your goals you want to meet. And then every week we meet. And then in between that, I'm gonna give you homework. I'm gonna keep you accountable. So, for instance, someone who is in work life balance, I would actually set them up with a journal. So they have to keep a journal. We have to manage their time. What do you spend your time on? Especially now with social media. You know, you can spend 2 hours just surfing the internet easily, right? But then you say you don't have enough time. So that's one type of relationship. It could be a different relationship where a woman saying, you know what, I'm divorced. I've been married for 20 years. Now I want to get back into dating. So how do I find eligible bachelors? Well, that's different because now we're going to go to different dating websites and I'm going to show them how to vet someone who may be a possible um, a candidate or potential mate. So we do
Yeah.
well. You know, I don't just say, hey, you know what, go to Black People Meet or go to Match.com. No, no, no. When we do it together. It's certain ones that I, find to be more reputable. We go and I'll say, okay, what are you looking for? What are your needs? What are your it's okay to have? Like, what are you looking for specifically? And then we start drilling there. And I mean, when I say drill, we drill. Like, I want to know what's in the background of your house. What's how many kids you have? Do you pay child support? What's your health like? Who's your family? Like, we do all that. And sometimes, again, it's not always 100%, but we try to get it as close as possible. So I've had 3 so far that honestly have all hooked up with someone and got married. So, that's a plus. But it just depends on, again, what you're looking for.
Mm, okay. Because all right, so I mean, it's someone who took the time to take the classes and study the curriculum. They're more trustworthy than someone who hasn't done that. Because I would also argue like there may be coaches who are really really good, but they don't have the certification.
Yeah, you don't need the certification.
Yeah,
No, you could be really good. You just don't have the certification. That's okay. I know for me, it just seems like, people ask, like, not necessarily, well, put it this way, when coaching is different, right? Coaches are not like therapists. So they're not going to say, where did you go to school? Did you go to Duke? Did you go to Harvard? No, they want to know, okay, I have a problem. How can you help me solve my problem?
that's
That's
it.
what they want. Yeah. How can you help me? I have a problem. I'm missing little Johnny, little Susie's games. How can you help me? They're not going to say, hey, what school did you go to? They're not. How can you help me?
Yeah.
And I have to come up with a solution. Now, the reason why I wanted to get the training, well, first of all, I didn't get training because of coaching. It was just that I did that, right? But it has helped me because, again, I may have, like, I get a lot of construction guys, and they're like, okay, I want to find a wife because, I'm getting a little older now and I want to find someone who I can have a relationship with. So it's those type of people, right? And then, you know what? He may not have time to go and order flowers. It's Valentine's Day. He doesn't have to. So he'll call me like, hey, Lamarr, can you order some flowers for me for my wife? Or I have one where he's really busy, but he wants to buy his wife gifts. So he's like, hey, can you call a clothier at Neiman Marcus or whatever? So it could just be so many different types of scenarios. But would I say go get training or something? Yes, I would definitely say go get training because it's a structure to it. Like I said, it's a curriculum.
Mm. And that's another thing that you brought up. Like coaching it could be something as small as, what gift do I buy my wife? You're not going to go to therapy for that. It's something that is immediate and you need a fast answer for. It sounds like coaching is more appropriate for that.
Yeah, if you guys ever seen the movie Hitch with Will Smith, Will Smith was a relationship coach in the movie Hitch. So he took the guy. I'm not sure if anyone's seen it, but he took the guy, right? The guy's like, oh, I'm just really bumming. I'm down. He had it all together, but he just couldn't find a good woman, he said, right? So Will Smith's like, okay, try this technique and try that and go here and do this. That he was a relationship coach. Then you have somebody like Ayanna Van Zant. She's a life coach. She gets all different types of scenarios. So that's a different type of coaching. But like with Ayanna, at the beginning when she comes on own, she says, well, it doesn't matter if I got this and if I, been divorced and I wrote this book and this thing. To me, those make the best coaches because you've been there, you've done that. I can honestly say I'm a great life coach because I've been in several different bad relationships. Who else better talk about that? Right? Mm-hmm. I know how it is to talk about work-life balance. You know why? Because I had struggled to balance my life. Right? And I know sometimes people may say, well, how are you going to tell me what I need to do if you weren't doing it yourself? Because it's easier to give somebody advice and help them than it is to help yourself. Because again, with coaches, you're pulled in different directions. Because now with social media, people call you like, hey, I need 5 minutes. Long story short, that's 30 minutes right there. So it just
yeah. Sorry, we just got a public comment. You were talking about the movie Hitch. We got one here. I love that movie.
Yeah, I do too. I love Hitch. Yes. I love Hitch. And so in the movie, right, if you notice, he was an excellent relationship coach, right? But he needed help too. Right? He needed help finding someone, right? Remember he was dating oh my gosh, I got her name right on the top of my tongue. But he needed help. But he was an excellent relationship coach. Right? So yeah, it's the same thing. Like I always, mention those movies because, the Ayanna Van Zant and also the Will Smith, like Fix My Life. Yeah, they know what they need to do, but they need, they need help. They need to be fixed.
Interesting. Just wanted to share that comment there.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah. So now I know it's like anybody could be a coach, and we've also talked about like you don't really need a certification. You could just do it. So should anybody be a coach? Like, is it something, is it for everybody, coaching?
No, it's not for everybody. Just like anything is not for everybody, right? It's really not. I have to say, it takes a very strong person to be a coach because he just said it right. He said coaches are the ones that help us as much as people they help themselves. Exactly. Like when you're coaching someone, you have spoken to probably, let's say, 6 or 7 different personalities. By the end of the night, you don't want to speak to no one. You are done. And that's the truth. You don't want to speak to anyone. You don't even want to be invited anywhere. And then on top of that, when you add podcasts and you add, going live like this, people are going to ask questions. People going to so you're like an octopus. You're pulled in so many different directions that at the end of the night you don't have anything for yourself, and that's the truth. You have people really like your day is their night and vice versa. So I may have a client call me at 2 a.m. because that's their day. So it just kind of depends. I mean, I've had people call me like, oh, I definitely need help. I need help like right now. And it's a definite that we do this, that, and the other. Now for them, it is important. For me, I'm like, that could wait, right? But for them, it is. They need the help. So yeah, I try to help them, And like I said, it could be so many different types of scenarios. And by the end of the day, yeah, you're drained. But you know what? You're drained, but you have helped that person at least get closer to their goal.
Awesome. All right. So now, where do you find your clients? Because at least with therapy, there's health insurance. You just look up your carrier and whoever is listed under your carrier, or you look on the street and you see the big buildings and the names on the building, right? So for a therapist, so where, as a coach, where do you find your clients?
Good question. Well, initially, I just had like a Facebook group, and I didn't have any clients. I was just giving them advice, and just not like advice, but I was just posting things. And then once I started getting out there a little bit more. That's when I had people calling. But I mean, it wasn't like a overnight type of thing. Um, Again, there was times where I needed a break because I needed to get certain things in place. Like for instance, they need a way to contact you, so I had to get like my website up. And then even with the website, I wanted to make sure that I was there every step of the way, because if you click something, it needs to be able to function the way you think it should. So
Yeah.
that was another thing. I'm very hands on. So one thing I realized with coaching is a lot of behind the scenes that people may not realize. I know I didn't, because even with my podcast, like that's coaching for them, right? And even with some of my clients, they're like, I know you can't talk, but could you make me a video? So now they want a 2 or 3 minute video, right? So it just kind of depends. And sometimes, believe it or not, it's easier for me to make a video. I'm like, okay, this is just what it is. Let me make a quick video. So it just kind of depends. Do I always have clients? No. I sometimes, like right now, I don't have any clients, right? But I have people, I don't know, like 10 for tomorrow who wants to come on to my podcast and talk. So it just kind of depends. So it depends, like, clients come in so many different forms that you just never
Yeah.
know how it's going to come. And I work full time too.
Now, how does that work?
I just had to hire a VA because I did not, first of all, with technology, I had to learn technology. It's not like I'm my daughter, right? So like these young kids, I had to learn, like I had to learn what a thumbnail was. I had to learn how to work scheduling. I mean, there was so much. And then, like I said, I'm a 9 to 5. I'm in healthcare. So that's another thing. I mean, it's just crazy. So yeah, I work 9 to 5. I don't know how I do it. Like I said, I just hired a VA to help me with scheduling things like that. So who knows? I can't even answer that question. I don't know. Half of the time I'm delirious.
Right. So it's when it just going back to finding the clients. So it sounds like you had to start from your own community, right? So you were in a bunch of coaching groups, I guess, just to get your own knowledge, and you were just giving advice, and then people just latched onto you, and you decided to just take those people and turn them into clients. So it started off with giving off simple advice, and then people kept coming to you, and then I'm assuming people referred their friends to you. So it starts small, and then it builds and it builds and it builds, and then you decide, you know what, I'm gonna turn this into something.
Yeah, well, at first, well, like if someone asked me or if I knew someone, I would just tell them. So it's not like I was just like, okay, this is gonna be my client. I don't do that. I mean, they have like I've seen coaches, they'll post something because they're like teasers to kind of get you on board. I never did that. I figure like if you know you need help or you feel like you want help, then I'm here. Thank you so much, Simon. He said I'm doing a wonderful job. Thank you so much. If you want help, I'm here. But I do not push anything on people. Believe it or not, I have clients that call me and they don't pay me anything. We just have conversations, right? I've had some say, "Look, I'm not gonna pay you in money because I don't have it, but I'm gonna send you a Amazon card." I'm like, "All right, because I don't turn people away because especially nowadays, you never know people's financial situation. You could be a person who make their day,
Mhm.
like especially when you're going through situations with your job, yourself, and family. That's a lot on a person, especially with COVID in the last 3 years. People have been losing their jobs. So for me, I just make sure that um, I can help someone. I do not turn people away. Now, I will say podcasting snuck up on me. I was never a podcaster. I was never out here on social media. I was always behind the scenes. Never, never, never wanted to be front and center. Never. My friend came to me 4 months ago and it's like, you should do a podcast. I was like, what is that, YouTube? I was like, no, you should just get on, record a couple things. I was like, people don't want to hear what I have to say, right? So I had someone call me. She was not a client. She was like, you know what? My husband is coming from home from prison. What do you think I should do to prepare for that? And that was really my first podcast episode. Now, with that, I had to figure out, okay, how do I get this out to people? Because I didn't even know how to do that. So what I had to do was figure out all the behind the scenes things, like upload it to a host and send it to social media and create thumbnails, like all kind of stuff. And I was like, she asked me a question. Now she done gave me a project. So that's how it came. Like for tomorrow, I have like 10 people that want to possibly come on my podcast for work-life balance, right? So that's how it started. I was never a podcaster because podcasting is a full-time job. I never did. So, but yeah, I've had people say, look, and these are not like these are people who, I don't know, they had like pen pals and start off and they started dating someone in prison. These are like the CEO of a company, and I mean, now I got to give you steps on what you need to do to prepare for that.
Mm-hmm.
You coming out of prison? Oh, okay. Now you got to prepare, but you don't want your job to know. So that's another thing. Or my husband's getting locked up, or my wife's getting locked up. What do I need to do? That's a whole other category.
Yeah.
So it could be so, or I just don't get along with my parents. My father's a narcissist, and my mother has mental issues. It could be so many different things. But yeah.
It sounds like it. All right, all right. So we're gonna start to wind things down. So, do you have any words of wisdom that you'd like to share? Any final what advice would you like to share with us? Any final words?
You know what? One thing I live by, my mother's from Alabama, right? So she always made sure I had a good foundation, right? But I always say, do something good and others feel the impact. So no matter what you do, make sure you help someone. Always make sure you are your own authentic self. And it like especially now with social media, you can always make a difference in a person's life. So that's what I would definitely suggest. Don't be something just to do it, or just because like coaching is the new thing. It's almost like a fad. It's like a couple of years ago when everybody was flipping houses. Don't do it because of that, but do it because you actually want to make a difference. It makes me feel so good when someone calls me and is like, you know what, you really helped me. These people, again, like they don't have it, you know what I mean, but you made a difference. And sometimes I'm like falling asleep, like literally like falling asleep. But again, sometimes people just want you to just listen to them. And that's really what it's been about, right? Or they'll call me now. I spoke to 200 people last week, let's just say, and they'll call me like, I'm sharing. You know who it is. Stop playing. Now I got to go back and be like, okay, let me remember sharing, right? I remember all situations, but I may not remember the name. So when they start telling me, I'm like, okay, I remember. And plus I keep a spreadsheet. So I go in there. Like, I spoke to Sharon last week. Okay, let me go in and see what Sharon's about. So that's how I know. But I always make sure, like I said, I do something that's going to, help somebody else.
Beautiful. That is beautiful advice. And now we can segue over to the promo part. So, Dr. Spencer, thank you so much for joining me today. And it is now promo time. So let's get to it. All right, you guys. So Dr. Spencer, she is, she's all over the internet. she You can visit her online. Her website is www.drlamarrspencer.com. She got a Facebook group. She got a Facebook page. She on Instagram and TikTok and Twitter, and you can email her. So she has multiple ways for you to reach out to her. I encourage you to reach out to her if you're looking for coaching and anything, work-life balance, relationships, career. She mentioned a few times about people coming out of prison, or maybe they have a spouse that's coming out of prison. So anything that you need some like an immediate answer to, reach out to Dr. Spencer. Her information is scrolling below at the bottom of the screen right now. For those of you who are watching this on video, excuse me, and for our audio people, all of this information will be in the description. So I definitely encourage you to reach out to her and seek her services. Again, she is all over the web, you guys, all over that social media, and hit her up online, www.drlamarrspencer.com. And she also has a podcast. It is called The Truth of the Matter Podcast with Dr. Spencer. You can listen to her podcast wherever there is a podcast. So wherever there are podcasts, you can listen to it there. Can you tell us briefly about your podcast? What is it about?
Yeah, so actually I have like 20 people that now they want to talk about having to choose between their career and families. I have that. I have like I said, work-life balance. I talk about different areas of relationships, marrying or being in a family or a narcissist, being in a relationship where it's triangulated, where it's you, your significant other, and then there's someone else, right? So that type, or like they say, the side chick or the side dude, that's really a triangulated relationship. I talk about, when I say little of anything, like being in a relationship where it's like an emotional roller coaster. We talk about that. We talk about being emotionally unavailable. So the podcast really, I go from like 3 minutes, it can be an hour. I just had a guest on, I didn't release it yet. So you guys are like the first ones to hear, where he and his wife decide they want to sell everything. And now they're in a RV and they're going around the country. So that's another thing that's coming up. I have another episode coming up where a guy, he was dated a married woman for 10 years, have that. So if you have a cool story, let me know, and trust me, you will be on. I mean, I have so many, like with the podcast is different because like I have video and audio. I like people who have cool stories because it's like an attention seeker, that, I mean, I do have some where it's like, I give you different steps on like, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, but for the most part, they're like really good stories. So all the podcasts, well, most of them, yeah, they're on YouTube, so you can check them on YouTube. But yeah, you're there. But like this, I'm all over everywhere. I did not set out to be on social media.
It found you.
Yeah. Only thing it takes for someone to tag you, and now you're it. Just somebody tag you, and that's it. That's how it starts.
So you're maybe, well, you need some coaching on the internet, on social media. Do you need some coaching yourself?
No, not coaching on social media. It was like weird stuff, right? Like you on social media, like it's different when you are like doing a podcast because that's really like audio, right? But
Yeah.
now when you have the video part, now I gotta come on, make sure your hair is right because people are like, hey, you missed a couple of strands there, so they can see you more. You know what I mean? Like the shirt is on backwards. Like any little thing, your light's not right. It could be any little thing. So people tend to notice more. So for me, my goal was I just want to help someone, right? I'm not going to be on social media. I just want to help you. And then I realized it's like 4 or 5 in the morning. I'm looking a mess. And someone's like, hey, can you do a quick video for me? I'm like, oh my God, really? Like I had times where I couldn't come on the internet. They're like, why are you not doing videos? Because my edges are out. Like I don't have any edges. Like I tell people I'm a real person and I go through real things. Like, no, I like, yeah, my edges are out. My shirt is on backwards because I'm tired. So yeah, that's what it has been for me. So
sometimes you gotta say no. You
yeah,
don't have to do everything.
yeah, I'm learning. Like, yeah, you can't do it all, you just can't, but I find that those have been like the best, like most viewed when I'm sitting there like, my shirt's on backwards. My crown fell off my tooth. I mean, it could be just anything, and I'm just like, oh God. And I'm like, look, this is real. I don't know how to edit. And people like someone who's authentic. And so this is me, so.
You gotta be your authentic self. Why not?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, let's make sure we get this book. Okay. Oh, I didn't do my. All right, I didn't do my scrolling. Okay, we'll make sure it scrolls at the bottom. All right, we want to make sure we get this book. All right, and you also have a book called The Depth and Diversity.
I gotta go.
Oh, you gotta go.
Yeah,
Yeah, go ahead and log off. That's
thank
fine.
you.
All right, I'll go ahead and continue.
I'm sorry. I have a meeting.
It's all right. Thank you for coming on the show. All right, all right. So I'm just gonna go ahead and continue. All right. So she has a book called The Depth and Diversity Within Relationships. You can purchase it now on Amazon.com. So I encourage you to go to Amazon right now and purchase that book. And I just want to make sure we plug this in. And just a reminder, you can find her again online. Her website is www.drlamarrspencer.com, and she is all over social media. So Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And you can reach out to her via email. So that information is scrolling below at the bottom of your screen. For my video people and for my audio people, all this information will be in the description. All right, so I thank Dr. Spencer for joining me today. I know we went a little over time, but that is all right. So now I'm just going to go ahead and jump to the conclusion, which is my part. All right, you guys. So we have reached the conclusion of our episode. Thank you so much for joining us today. So, whatever platform that you are taking this in right now, whether it is video or audio, please check out our other episodes and don't forget to follow and subscribe. Sorry, I just saw a message there. And while you're at it, please let us know what you thought about this episode by leaving a comment in the comment section below or in the comment thread. If you are listening to this on audio, please drop us a rating. Let us know what you thought about this episode as well. And as a reminder, this podcast is a production of A Step Ahead Tutoring Services. So if you would like to learn more about us, if you're looking for a tutor, whether that is for yourself or for your child, please reach out to us. Our website is www.astepaheadtutoringservices.com. We are also on a lot of social media platforms as well. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, WhatsApp, Eventbrite, and YouTube. So check out all of our socials, follow us on all of our socials, and reach out to us. There's a lot of different ways that you can reach out to us if you are seeking a tutor, whether for yourself or for your child. You can reach out to us online on our website again, www.astepaheadtutoringservices.com, or you can hit us up on our socials. That information is at the bottom of your screen right now for my video people. And for my audio people, I got to address both. For my audio people, all this information is in the description. So, however, you guys are taking in my show right now, all this information is at your fingertips. And I also want to share this last point. We have a hot topics text list, you guys. So if you want to stay in touch with our upcoming episodes, our live episodes, if you want to know when the next episode is going to drop on like Spotify or Apple Podcasts, you want to stay in touch with us, anything and everything that is hot topics, sign up for our text list, you guys. All you have to do is text the code Hot Topics to 917-764 3975. That again, just text the code Hot Topics to 917-764 3975 or reach out to us via email success@astepaheadtutoringservices.com. All right, you guys, and that is it. Thank you so much for joining us. I look forward to seeing you or hearing you at the next episode. Thank you guys again. I am signing off now. Bye.